All right. Okay, so for today's session is going to be on Debate 101, Introduction to Asian Parliamentary Debate. And I think all of the law students here are about to sit for their assessment after Raya, all right, for their debate assessment. Okay, so we have Sir Yadid or Mr. Yadid to, I would say the floor is yours for you to start your session. Okay, I'm not going to take your time. All right, go ahead, Mr. Yadid.
All right, thank you, Miss Ri. Hi everyone, Assalamualaikum. I think oh my God, a lot of students came in, just like 147 participants. All right, so I think I cannot waste any more time, I see. All right, so let me share my slide first. So later on, if you need my slide, okay, you can ask from Miss Ri and the other APB lecturers as well. Okay. All right. And if you have any questions, you can just unmute your microphone as well. All right, I don't mind. Or if you feel, because you are law students, you are eloquent to speak. All right, so you can just unmute your microphone and ask me the questions straight away. But if you're shy, you can type your questions in the chat box. Yeah. All right. So let me start. All right. So So today we're going to look into Debate 101, Introduction to Asian Parliamentary Debate, right? So when we talk about debate, all right, there are two types of debate. One is Asian parliamentary and another one would be British parliamentary, all right? So the difference between the two parliamentary would be that Asian parliamentary consisting of 3 members of speakers, okay, and British parliamentary consisting of 2. All right, so we later on, I think most of you are going to expose not just Asian parliamentary debate, but also British parliamentary debate. All right, when you go for your degree law, for sure you are going to join World University Debate Cup. All right, especially law students. Okay, if you are going to continue with your degree law, please. Okay. All right. So now let's move on. So what is debating, and why do we debate? Hello.
Hold on, yeah, we're checking on because just now the slides was not projecting on the WebEx. So
Oh, I see.
but is it clear now? Is it projecting? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So now it's
It's
okay.
different
Right. So
thing.
sorry for
All right.
stopping you. All right. Okay.
All right. Thank you. I think because I'm in Kuala Pilar, the line is quite slow here. All right. Okay. All right. So now, so can I ask you guys, okay, what is debating? Why do we debate? Oh, sorry. I think there's a, oh, I think, yeah. Why do we debating? And what can we get, from debating? All right. Anyone can answer that questions? What is debating for you? You can type your answers in the chat box if you want, all right? Okay, and why do we debate and what can we get from debating? All right? Can I see some answers? Or if you can, you can also unmute your microphone when we talk about debate. So why do we need to debate? All right? What can we get from debating? Right, I'm sorry for the grammar mistakes. I think I've already corrected it. But oh, I see some of the answers here. How to say? All right. Let me. So, how can I see some answers? How do I see the chats? Okay, yes, okay. Thank you, thank you. All right, so now, so I can see that to find the solutions to a certain problems, okay, to voice out our opinion and exchange ideas, argumentations of opinions, all right? So debating is maybe a form of exchanging opinions to get the best answer. Yes, All right, so that is debating. Okay, so why do we debate? All right, so those are the questions. So most of your answers, when we talk about debate, right, we want to find the solutions, all right, better solutions. We want to find a better ways of doing something, all right. When we talk about debate, it's not just about arguing, right? Because like we have to change our mindset when we talk about debating, all right? Because once people, I think Malaysian students, when they think about debating, they always think about arguing, all right, fighting. It's not about fighting who's better, who is who's having the better idea or whatnot, right? However, we want to find the right solutions of certain issues. Okay, so that's how we need to change our mindset in terms of like debating. All right, and then what can we get from debating? So okay, this is the last questions again. What can we get from debating, students? What do you think? Huh? What can we get from debating? Solutions, yeah. Okay, answers, okay. So basically, those are the things that we can get from debating. But actually, when we practice a lot of debating, you can sharpen your critical thinking skills for sure, right? You can think better, more than one perspective, all right? You can think like you can diversify your perspective, all right? Actually, when we debate, we look into different perspective. We are not looking to find solutions. So that's why all of you must need, you need to change your objective. All right, what can we get from debating? We're not trying to win actually when we debate. All right, we are trying to, we are trying to find a solution, of course, but we're actually looking at different perspective. Okay, all right, so that's why we are, wait, all right. Okay, sorry, I think internet connection again. Sorry. 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 Okay. All right. So, okay. What can we get from debating? All right. You can sharpen your critical thinking skills. All right. You actually, uh, will, expand your knowledge, not just looking into the local issues. You are becoming more aware of global issues and how are you going to improve our country, for example, when we look into certain issues. Okay. So that's why we need to debate. All right, we actually find solutions that is better for our country, and we want to make better improvements. Okay, so that's what we can get from debating. So later on, I'll share you some videos from your seniors, your super seniors, which also my friends from law faculty of Shah Alam. And there are few of my friends from UT Mara. So later on, when you go for law, degree in UiTM Shah Alam, you might be interested in joining UT Mara team. All right, in Shah Alam for debate. Okay. All right. So now let's continue. So today we're going to discuss about format of Asian parliamentary debate. All right, and then after that we are going to look into the rules of Asian parliamentary debate, and then the third one will be the strategies of the Asian parliamentary debate. Okay, all right. So let's look at the first one. All right. So general format of Asian parliamentary debate, all right, consisting of two teams, all right, which are government side and also opposition side. Okay, so each side is composed of three members. Okay, for the government side, we have Prime Minister, the first speaker, and then we have Deputy Prime Minister, which is the second speaker, and lastly would be Government Whip. For opposition side, we have leader of oppositions, the first speaker, and then deputy leader of opposition. Leader of opposition, first speaker, deputy leader of opposition, second speaker, and opposition whip, third speaker. All right. So let's move on. What we are going to look into what are their roles, okay, for each of the speaker. All right, so let's look at the roles. Okay, what are the roles of the government side? All right, so the roles of the government side, you need to proposes and defends the motions. Okay, so we have three speakers. So the first speaker is Prime Minister. Okay, whereby he or she will open the debate. Okay, and then after that defines the motions. So this is important part. As a prime minister, you need to define the motions that that allow the opposition side to argue with you. All right. If you don't have a good, strong motions or definitions of your motions, all right, the leader of oppositions can challenge your motions. So that's why prime ministers, you need to define your motions correctly. All right, and that's how you set the debate. Okay, if not, all right, then the debate will not be good. All right, if you don't define the motions correctly. Okay, all right, so you need to define the motions correctly, then you can get a good platform to debate. Okay, as a prime minister, that is a huge role for you. Okay, and then after that, you need to present your first argument. Okay, and then let's move on to the next one, which is deputy prime minister. Okay, which is he or she needs to refute the leader opposition's wait, I cannot see from the chat. Okay. All right. So refutes the leader opposition case argument. Okay. So you refute from the leader opposition's case argument, and then after that you establish the government's claim, and then lastly you advance the government's argument. Okay. So for deputy prime minister, you have two arguments to be presented. Okay, so prime minister, you have one argument. Okay, but for deputy prime ministers, you have two arguments to be presented during your speech. Okay, and lastly, for the third speaker, which is government whip, all right, you need to make an issue-based rebuttal of opposition case, meaning that, all right, you have to rebut all the points from from your side to give it to the opposition side. All right, so you have to convince the judges of why your issues or your rebuttals is better than the opposition side. Okay, and after that you summarize the case the case of the government side. This is the important one. So I think for government whip, you actually need to cover the things that is not being covered by the first two speaker. All right. So if your prime ministers forgot something, right, government whip will actually, it's sort of like yes, sort of like cover up. Okay. If the deputy prime ministers does not manage to finish her point, then government whip will cover it up. Okay, so you can summarize the case of government side during your speech. Okay, all right. All right, now, did I speak too fast? Okay, all right. So is everyone clear with the rules of the government? Okay, good. Okay, I think you know this. I think you have. I think some of you have exposure of Asian parliamentary debate. Betul kan? Am I right? Okay, good. All right. So let's see how we are going, you need, let's see how you are going to do your assessment later, right? You need to have a good strategy as well. Okay, now, so let's move on to what are the roles of opposition side. So we have three speakers here. All right, the first one will be leader of oppositions. The second one will be deputy leader of oppositions, and lastly, opposition whip. So as leader of oppositions, you need to respond, okay, you need to respond directly to the case of the government by giving a direct clash. Another important responsibility from leader of oppositions. If you cannot have a direct clash, all right, you won't win the debate, I must say. All right, so you need to have a direct clash. Okay, meaning that you need to gel in with the motions. Sorry. Okay, you need to gel in with the definitions and motions, okay, of the government side. Okay, and then after that you advance with the arguments. Okay, you may challenge the motion if the definition is not strong. Okay, so here are the two things that later on I'll explain to you what are the strategies of leader oppositions can do, all right, in terms of the framework as well as the, how are you going to challenge the definitions of prime ministers if the prime ministers did not give a good definitions of motions. Okay, so you may challenge the motion if the definition is not strong. Okay, so I'll give you example. All right, for example, the motions talks about this house believe that music should be free, for example. Okay. However, Prime Minister said that the context of music is free is not looking at the trade of the music. Okay, maybe the prime ministers only look at the website, for example. Okay, the website, using the website to download the music. All right, so the context here is different. You might challenge it because it is not arguable for you. All right, so as a leader opposition, you can try challenge if the definition is not strong. Okay, as the deputy leader of oppositions, okay, you need to refute the case of the PM, Prime Minister. Okay, refute the case of Deputy Prime Minister. Okay, and then after that, you are going to re-establish the case of oppositions. Okay, you have to re-establish again the case of oppositions. And then the third one would be advanced oppositions argument. Okay, and for deputy leader of oppositions, okay, you have two arguments to be presented as well. All right. So you need to remember, okay, leader opposition, you only have one because you need to respond directly to the case of the government by giving a direct clash, and then you are going to present your framework or mechanism, and then after that you are going to present your first arguments. As for deputy leader of oppositions, you are going to refute the case of deputy prime minister, and then after that you are going to establish again the case of oppositions, and then advances opposition arguments with two arguments. And lastly, for opposition whip, all right, same goes with government whip. You need to make an issue-based rebuttal of the government case. Okay, so you need to rebut all the things from the government case by showing your points are better than their side. Okay, and lastly, of course, you need to summarize the case of the opposition side. Okay, is everyone okay? Do you understand what are the rules of opposition side? Okay. All right. So I think everyone is ready for debating after this. Okay. All right. Now, the rules of Asian parliamentary debate. Okay. So the first rule is that time of speeches. Okay. So each speaker is allocated 7 minutes to deliver their constructive speeches. Okay. However, for reply speech, okay, you only have 4 minutes. Okay, for Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister, and then for government side, Leader Opposition and Deputy Leader Oppositions also will have 4 minutes for their reply speech. Okay, so the order of speeches will be like this. Okay, the first speaker, which is the Prime Minister, you will have 7 minutes to present your speech. And then after that, leader of oppositions, you will have 7 minutes as well. And then deputy prime ministers, okay, 7 minutes. And then after that, deputy leader opposition is going to present the arguments. And then government whip, 7 minutes. And then after that, opposition whip will wrap up all the arguments. Okay. However, after that, for the reply, opposition will start the reply speeches. Okay, it's not the same like just now. You know, we start with government and then oppositions, government, oppositions. For reply, opposition will start the reply speech first for 4 minutes. Okay, so only Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister is allowed to give the reply. For opposition reply, only the Leader of Oppositions and Deputy Leader of Opposition is allowed to give a reply. Okay, all right. So government and then lastly will be government reply. Okay, now, so let's look at the next rules of Asian parliamentary. Point of informations. Okay, so point of informations. Okay, you during the constructive speeches, a point of informations may be raised by both sides after the first minute up to the 6th minute. All right, so P or I may be refused or accepted by the speaker. Okay, so what is the function of POI? Okay, the function of POI is that you are giving, you're asking a questions, or you actually wants to rebut, the informations given by the speaker. All right, when you ask for POI. All right, usually when for example, Prime Minister, is giving the speech. All right, so the opposition side will raise their hands, POI, So the Prime Minister usually will accept it, or sometimes just ignore you. Or maybe, or not just not ignore, okay, refuse to allow the POI, or maybe at the end of the speech, all right, the Prime Minister will actually allow for you to give your POI. Then the Prime Minister will answer that. So that is the function of POI. You refute the information given by the speaker, any speaker, all right, any speaker, okay, from the first speaker, second speaker, and third speaker. All right, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure the format is still the same or not with this new year. All right. Previously, POI can only be the speaker can only give 2 POI for each speaker. All right. So I'm not sure. I think I have to check again. All right. So usually one speaker will only have 2 POIs to ask. All right. You cannot have like POI. No. right? You cannot have that, all right? You cannot, interrupt the speaker's speeches, okay? So only 2 times for you to have POI, all right? So now, the third one would be no POI is allowed during the reply speeches. Okay, so at the end of the sessions, the reply speeches, okay, all of you are not allowed to give POI. All right, so yes, okay, that is for POI. Okay, for reply speeches, okay, reply speech is a comparative analysis of the strength and weaknesses of the case of the both sides. So why is it important for you to have reply speech? Why is it important for Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister or leader oppositions or deputy leader oppositions to give a reply speech? Because uh, uh, this is a chance for you to actually give to the judges or to the listeners that your points are is better than the other side. Okay, so it is better for prime ministers. All right, so the two speakers, the first two speakers must prepare very well for the reply speech, because the speech aims to give a biased judgment as to why people should support the team's claim. All right. So at this time around, you have to really tell the listeners or the judge, okay, your points is better, or the argument presented is better than the other side. Okay. So opposition side is first to deliver and followed by the government side. Okay, so that is the reply speech. Okay, all right, now, so these are the strategies. Okay, I'm giving you the strategies, okay, the strategies of Asian parliamentary debate according to the side. Okay, so for the government side, okay, so prime ministers, you need to give a strong definitions and parameter of the debate motions. Okay, all right, all right. So you set a parameter. Okay, so prime ministers, you have a huge responsibility to set the definitions and parameter of the whole debate motions. Okay, if you don't have a strong definitions, okay, for example, later on I'm going to show you your seniors, your super seniors, my old friend Jasmine Ho, that she gave a really strong definition in terms of gender equality in working environment in Malaysia. All right, later on you'll see how she set the emotions to become very stable, and then the leader opposition can actually argue or support the motions. Okay, so that's why Prime Minister, you have, in order for you to to get attention for your speech, you need to have a strong definitions. If not, the judges will actually, you know, uh, um, you know, actually will comment to you that the debate is not good. All right. So giving a strong definition is important. Okay. And then the second will be providing concise background or history leading to the issues. Okay. Uh, I think what can we get from debating? Like I said just now, the question is, what can we get from debating? When we do debating, we actually read, right? I think during my time, I was a TESOL student, and then I actually briefly joined UTMara because I was into debate at that time. And then, because of the different faculties, whereby I was from education faculties, and then you have law faculties, the advantage side of law students, why? Because they know the act, right? The rules. So that is the most advantages that they have when we talk about background or history leading to the issues, because they read a lot of cases, and then they present it during the arguments. So you have a very strong arguments because you are law students. So don't put away the things that you have read, you have read, all right, for your law, anything about law, all right, you applied it in the debate. Okay, all right. The third one will be highlighting the framework or mechanism of the government side. All right, so what is the framework that you are going to present for your debate? So as a Prime Minister, you already set the motions, and then you provide a concise background or history leading to the issues. And then, of course, you need to highlight the framework. Okay, the first argument is going to present by me, for example. And then the second and the third argument is going to be presented by deputy prime ministers. So you already have the points, okay, that you are going to present on your side. All right. And the fourth one will be delivering a strong first argument. Okay. And lastly, as prime ministers, before you end your speeches, you need to exert you need to emphasize the government stand and case. Okay, what is the thing that you are looking for? Okay, apa benda yang you guys actually wants to look? Alright, that is the important one, because if you don't emphasize or exert the government stand, alright, the leader oppositions will say that you have a very weak stand. Okay, you're sort of like standing in between. Uh, right, you're not sure which one is right. All right, so you have to give you have to emphasize your stand and case. Right, so that people are convinced with your with your arguments. Okay, all right. So as for Deputy Prime Minister, all right. What are the strategies? All right. What are the strategies when you want to give your speech? All right. So the first one, you need to rebut, all right, the first argument from the leader of oppositions. Okay. Of course, you need to rebut. Okay. You have to go back. Okay. You have to tell the leader oppositions that this is not, we're not actually we're not actually looking like this. You don't understand this, for example, I'm just saying here. Okay, so because your focus is different, all right, maybe leader opposition, the focus is different. Okay, however, in order for you to make a good rebuttals, you have to emphasize on your prime minister's argument. Okay, okay, I'm just giving an example. I'm not sure whether you understand it or not. Later on, we can, later on, I will explain to you when I showed you the video. No worries. Okay. All right. And then the third one will be delivering strong second and third arguments. Okay. Second and third arguments. Okay. And of course, as a deputy prime minister, you have to stand with your prime minister, whereby you need to emphasize the government stand and case again. Okay, that is the important one. Okay, maksudnya, meaning that whatever the arguments presented, what is your stand? What is your focus? Okay, when we talk about gender equality, you only talk about men and women in working force, or also minority group. Okay, okay, nanti, okay, later on we'll see. Okay, we'll see the example. All right, now the third one, government whip. Okay, the whip. If you want to have the good whip, I always, you know, I think during my years in debating, I like government. I like to be the whipper, meaning like I like to clean up everything somehow. Okay, because I don't like to be prime minister, is because I think it's a huge responsibility to carry. All right, because you need to give a strong definitions parameter, because you are the one who set the definitions, the entire debate. Okay, however, but like I said, you know when you're not trying, okay, then you don't know. Okay, so some people, they are good uh, when they are when they become prime minister. All right, they set a definition, a strong definitions. For me, back in those days, i think uh, I a few times failed to give a strong definitions, and then the debate was like messed up. Okay, and then my team members say that, oh, Yadid, you cannot be a prime minister. You have to be a whipper. So whipper, you have to clean up everything. You need to rebut the arguments from the leader of oppositions and deputy leader of oppositions. Okay, rebutting again. Okay, and then rebutting the rebuttals. And then rebutting the rebuttals to PM and deputy arguments, meaning that the things that is not being said uh, from Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister arguments, you can do the rebuttals here. Okay, during this time around. Okay, so you sort of like take the things that is not being said by Deputy Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister to be said in your speeches. Okay, all right. And then after that, for government whip, you need to provide a deeper analysis of previous argument and rebuttals. Okay, so for example, when we talk about providing a deeper analysis, you make a comparative analysis. Okay, what if we don't, what if the judge or the listeners did not follow the things that you have said? All right, the consequences. All right, so you have to give them, okay, this is what going to be happen. Okay, when you're not following our arguments. Okay, so you have to give a deeper analysis of previous arguments and rebuttals. Okay, you need to highlight to them, all right, the consequences. Okay, whether it is good or whether it is bad. Okay, and you also, as a government whip, you also can compare or highlight the loop, all right, of the opposition side, meaning that there is a whole. Okay, if we follow their arguments, this is the thing that is going to happen. You can also do that, okay, as a government whip. Okay, so that's why I said, when you are debating, you're not just looking into one perspective, you are looking into different perspective, right? As a government whip, okay, this is how you do it, and you think that it is correct and it is good, and then we should follow your arguments. Okay, then you give what angles, okay, can benefit with the argument. Okay, all right. And okay, now the fourth one, all right, you have to remember, okay, government whip, you cannot give new arguments. All right, you cannot give new arguments. Okay, basically you can only emphasize the arguments presented by PM and deputy prime ministers. That's why I say rebutting the rebuttals to PM and deputy prime minister arguments only. but you cannot give any new arguments. You cannot give a new idea at all. But you can give new angles of the arguments. Okay, meaning that, like I said just now, all right, you are shifting towards the other angle. All right, contohnya, Deputy Prime Minister talks about working environment in for women. Okay, maybe I don't know how to explain this, but I think I have to show to you in the video so that you understand what I meant. Okay, all right. Now, summarizing the entire case of the government side. Okay, it is important for you to summarize the entire case of the government side, and lastly, again, you need to reassert the stand and case of the government side. Okay. All right. So now I think we have. Okay. Now, so let's move on. So for the strategies of for opposition side, okay. So leader of oppositions, okay. So these are the strategies that you can use when you are debating later on. You can agree or disagree, okay, with the context or parameter of the government, okay. Okay. What does it mean by agree with the context or parameter of the government's case? Okay, because you always think, okay, leader opposition ni dia kena disagree je. No, you can also agree with prime minister's argument or parameter or context. However, if you agree towards the problems presented by prime ministers, then you need to highlight how government proposals will worsen the situations. Okay, so this is a technique. Okay, for example, the motion is quite hard for you to argue or to debate with the prime ministers. All right. Usually, what we do is that we need to agree with the motions or definitions presented by prime ministers. However, if you agree with the problems, then what you can do is that you can highlight how government proposal will actually give you a bad consequences, right, or effects. Okay, so that is the framework that you can at least use it. Okay, but if you disagree with the context or parameters of the government case, then you can present the new ideas, okay, the new arguments different from government side. Okay, so itulah, I mean, like most of the students will think, betul tak, opposition ni kena selalu disagree je? Am I right? You always think that opposition must disagree. Am I right? But actually, you can agree with the motions. Okay. If you think that your team does not have a strong arguments, better you go for the better for you to agree with the motions. Okay. And then you can highlight, okay, how government proposals can actually worsen the situations or the motions presented lah. Okay. All right. Now, the second one will be challenging the government's definitions or unfair setup of the debate motions. This is the part. Leader oppositions, you have to give your attention to the prime minister's definitions. Okay, if you think that there is any any issues in the definitions, you can actually challenge the definitions and make it with your own definitions. Yeah. Okay, maksudnya kat sini contohnya definitions tu is unfair for you, meaning that you think that the definition is totally biased towards government side and does not allow for you to actually have arguments or debate, then you can challenge a new definitions. Okay, and then if your definitions is strong, then you can bring your definitions forward, and at that point government will lose. Uh, if you really give attention to the government's definitions, once once there is a technical issues of the definitions, then of course you're going to win. All right, leader oppositions. Okay, all right, now rebutting PM's arguments is the third strategies that you can use. Okay, sorry, that you need to do. All right, rebutting Prime Minister's arguments. Okay, and then after that, you need to highlight the framework or mechanisms of opposition case. So same goes with Prime Ministers. Okay, you need to highlight the framework or mechanism. What are your arguments? What actually you are looking, all right? So the government is looking on the other side, okay? The opposition is looking from the other side, all right? So what are you looking, all right? So you have to really highlight your framework or mechanism. And then, of course, leader of oppositions, you need to deliver a strong first argument. Okay, so when you're preparing for the debate, all right, you need to actually look at the flow. Which one? Okay, you already plan your arguments. Okay, this is the first, third, and sorry, first, second, and third. All right, but you think that okay, you need to have a good flow, then you can rearrange your argument. All right. Oh, I forgot to tell for the government side as well. So when you do preparing, when you're preparing for your debates later on, right, you need to like discuss with your team members which one should come first, which one should come second and third, so that it will be a nice flow. All right. Don't just like, oh, aku present yang ni, engkau present yang ni. I think most of you do that. I think your lecturers will know. Tak apalah aku buat ini senang present. No, you have to really know which one must come first. Tak boleh buat macam aku takutlah nak present point ni. Kau lah present, kau lah. No, that is not how you should do. Okay? So as a leader opposition, you need to adjust. Okay, adjust. Another strategies. If the government side, contoh lah kan, alright, I'm just giving an example. Alright, the government side give the first argument, and then you tengok balik your framework. Oh, our second arguments ni related to the first arguments of prime ministers. I think leader opposition should present the second arguments ni, bring forward to become first argument. So that is the tactic, meaning that it become a flow. Dia bukan jadi yang, it's difference between one another. Alright, when we talk about the the disadvantage or the inequalities, contohnya, of course we need to have clashes. Macam contohlah kan, this is your sorry, how do I show this? Okay, yes. This is the government's argument. Okay, contohlah your first argument for leader opposition, dia tak berapa gel with the prime ministers, so dia nampak macam tak related lah. So leader opposition, both side, okay, you need to adjust. Okay, each speaker should know the arguments, right? You have to really be you have to really know each arguments. But like I said just now, tak boleh lah macam first discuss arguments tu macam kau lah present argument ni, aku macam tak berapa tahu. No, everyone must know. everything. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so asserting the opposition stand and case, of course, like same goes with government, you need to assert, you need to highlight your opposition's stand and case. All right. All right, now let's move on to the deputy leader of oppositions. Okay, you need to rebut the arguments from the deputy prime minister and prime minister. Okay, and then after that, you are going to have a you are going to rebut the rebuttals to LO arguments. Okay, uh, yes, your leader opposition. So you need to give rebuttals. Okay, of course, maybe during the time, okay, during the session, okay, one of the speakers from government side give POI, for example. Okay, so at that time, leader oppositions did not give a good reply to the POI. So as a deputy leader oppositions, you can actually give back the rebuttals to LO's arguments with the better explanations. Okay, so same goes with the deputy prime minister just now. If you know during the sessions there is a POI from the opposition sides and the prime minister did not give a good explanations, as deputy prime minister you can actually rebut the rebuttals, okay, of the prime minister's argument. Okay, and then deputy leader oppositions, you need to deliver strong second and third. I'm so sorry, second and third arguments. Yeah. All right, and then lastly, of course, again, you need to highlight the opposition stand and case. All right, now, last for the opposition whip. All right. Same goes with government whip. All right, you need to rebut the arguments from DPN and PM. Okay, and then after that, you need to cover the whole thing. All right, the rebuttals to the LO, Deputy Leader Oppositions, and LO Oppositions. All right, ni macam nak cakap kita ni clean up everything lah, bagi nampak tu cantik. Right, because of course when we prepared, we actually, we think that, it's going to be a good debate here. But somehow during debating, you're not sure. All right, it's always like that. Okay, but you always have to be prepared. Okay, and as a whipper, the thing that is not being said by deputy leader of oppositions or leader oppositions, you can actually give during your speeches. And of course, again, you need to provide a deeper analysis of previous arguments and rebuttals, and then you can actually give a comparative analysis. All right, same goes with government week just now. Why do you think, as an opposition, why do you think your arguments is better than, than the government side? All right, you have to convince the listener and the judge, okay, why your arguments, okay, is well equipped with more informations, for example, or statistics or data. All right, why do you think? Okay, so you convince the listener and the judge of during the debate later on. All right, and of course, not giving new arguments, but new angles of argument should be given. So you can give a new perspective. Okay, for example, like I said just now. Okay, if you don't follow things that things that being said, okay, this is going to happen. Okay, if you don't, if you're following the government's argument, okay, then you say that, things this is going to happen. Okay, so you sort of like give a comparative analysis, okay, but with the new angles lah. Okay, and the second last will be summarizing the entire case of the opposition side. And then last, you will be reasserting the stand and case of the government. Reasserting the stand of the opposition side. Okay, reasserting the stand and opposition stand and case of opposition side. All right, now for the reply speech, okay, so these are the things that you need to do for both speaker. Yes, both speaker from government and opposition side. Okay, the first one, okay, you need to know that it can only be done by either first or second speaker from each bench. Okay, meaning that only Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Leader Oppositions, or Deputy Leader Oppositions can do reply speech. Okay, so during the reply speech, you need to provide a bias, tak kisahlah, short sendiri pun cakap lah short sendiri. Okay, bias, oral adjudications of why the debate should go to your bench. Okay, whatever it is, okay, you must convince, you must be biased, of course, right? So highlight issues you think your side won. These are the things. During the reply speech, okay, contohnya, government side did not give a strong definitions. Then this is the part where you can, uh, you know, highlight the issues presented. Okay, or deputy prime ministers did not present very well, did not present did not present the arguments with a well-supported data, for example, or facts. Okay, all right, and carefully tiptoe around issues you think you lost. Okay, of course, there are things that is not being said, or for example, there is a weakness in your debate from each side, but you don't highlight it so much. Okay, you don't highlight it so much. Okay, you carefully tiptoe, meaning that you find another way, right? Meaning that there are parts that should be touched and whatnot. Okay, but don't highlight it so much. Okay, okay. Of course, there are weaknesses in our debate. Okay, but don't highlight it. You only highlight why do you think your side won. Okay, compare and show why your team is better. Okay, and then lastly would be new example to expand on discussed example are usually allowed and make the reply speech sound fresh as opposed to verbal regurgitations. Okay, and reassert a strong stand and case. Right, so that is for reply speech. All right. So yeah, I think I'm going to show you, all right, this debate. So actually, yeah, they are my batch, I would say. Said Sadiq now become, the ministers. He's this, is the same age with me. And then, Jasmine Ho was actually my old friend. She was in UiTM and she was very dedicated during that time, and I still remembered we did a practice, I think few practice with her. She's very good speaker now, right, till now, I think, right. And of course she brought UiTM names to Cambridge University, which one of the hardest debate. All right, so this is sort of give you inspiration, all right, to actually do debating later on when you go for your law degree. All right, so this is your seniors, your super seniors. Okay, but even though I wasn't from law faculty, but they actually really encourage other faculties to join UTMARA team. All right, so I think I remembered in 2013, all right, 2013, 2014, UIA and UiTM have a very close relationship, in debating. They even established a Malaysian MIDP, right? You can Google what is MIDP. I forgot about the full name, right? They really practice together to bring Malaysian name to the world. Okay, all right. So let's see how it actually give definitions. Good definitions, strong definitions. Izzal and Jasmine, yeah.
And a round of applause for Mr.
That one is Amira Mo.
So without further ado, we'll begin the debate. Just a briefing. She's been a Royal Debate Championship and Grand Finalist in 2014 and 15. She was with me in the United Asian Debate Championship semifinals. So just let me briefly introduce the debaters that we have before us. On my right, we have Jasmine Ho, who is also a third-year law student.
Right, towards male. So there will be 3 areas of this debate. Firstly, I'll tell you what is the purpose of higher education and why higher education is meant for equitable education. Secondly, I'll tell you how our policy will
You
get
can
to
see
change
how
the
she
behavior
highlight the
and
framework.
create more educated men. And thirdly, we'll tell you why an educated male population is a prerequisite to the equality between genders.
Yeah.
Firstly, within the role of public universities or role of public institutions in general is meant to achieve public good. That means that it's meant to address not the needs of our economy or our corporation, but it's necessarily meant to achieve public good and in order to create equality and equitable education. That means that we need to allow access for both genders equally. So if we realize that there's a problem, and that one of the gender is disproportionately disadvantaged by this system, that means that this system must be changed. No, thank you. Secondly, how do you get men more educated? We think that tertiary education or higher education is incredibly important to change behavior and change the way we react to our education policy and the way we react to society. Because higher education is more important than we think. It's not just a degree and not just a few things that you learn at school. It cultivates the need for you to educate yourself, to think critically, to create a structure, and more importantly, some kind of purpose in life of more students. So we think that
She
despite
refused
some
to
students
accept
achieving
POI.
them being able to participate
you can
and
do
join
that.
a higher education
Because
means
you want
that
to finish
they're
your
able to change
arguments.
their behavior and necessarily be a more integrated part of society and be able to be a better citizen as a whole. And we think the male population will be able to greatly benefit from that. Any questions?
See,
Given that
after that, after you have done your arguments, then you can accept UI.
Other minority groups.
This is Amira Mo from UIE.
However, we think that in particular, this policy is very important in order to ensure that we're able to get similarly educated individuals across genders and in order to achieve equality. And thirdly, why is it particularly important? Why is it so important that
So the argument's case is that, the government case, they're looking into the case of inequality towards women, okay? In order to gel in with the clashes, okay, the opposition side is looking at the inequality of minority groups. So later on, Amira Mo will actually present on how the government should actually look into the minority group as well. Nampak tak? Okay, so that is how you give a clashes. A good clashes can give you a good debate. Okay, so
we get the male population?
let's continue.
Because we think education is very, very important, and it's the pinnacle in what creates the understanding of what is substantive equality between the genders. So if we'd like to tell everybody that equality between the genders are extremely important, we're missing a huge step by not educating a huge or half the population. Understanding that higher education, the ability to think critically, the ability to participate in a lot of very, very important discussions means that the male population will be able to engage in what it means, what equality means across the board, in what it means to respect women, why respecting women is so important, why is it that the law should be catered to respecting women as well as respecting men equally. Most of this substantive critical thinking are things that you cannot get other than in education platform, other than in higher institutions. We think higher institutions are the best platform in which we are able to achieve this. And if we systematically exclude a large amount of male population from accessing higher education, that necessarily means that we exclude a large amount of individuals from educating themselves.
So I think you
on
can
the
only
importance of
have 2
respecting
POIs
gender.
for each
Then we
student.
can never achieve substantive equality, as
more
well
than
as
2.
formal equality, if half the population disagrees with what equality is and do not necessarily understand what equality is. If we believe that women should be treated equally This is a systematic policy to ensure that generations of men will not be left out in the system. If you don't allow this policy to pass, you're not letting just one boy not get education. You're letting an entire generation of men be systematically discriminated from getting education across the board. You create a system that perpetuates the lack of higher education and make it exclusive to only certain individuals and not make it equitable across the genders.
Right. So the argument from government side by Jasmine Ho saying that in order for us to overcome the inequality, right, we need to educate men, all right, to understand the equality of women, right? However, after this, Amirama will actually give her arguments in terms of like the government should actually provide a quota for minority group uh, to educate, to educate in terms and to change the inequality in the working environment.
So we think that
Okay.
at the end of the day, if you have to create more educated society, a more educated families, more educated society, you need to understand that the only way to achieve both formal and substantive equality is to educate our population equally across both genders. Because of that, UiTM urges you to propose.
And
It is true that a lot of development is contingent upon education. But when the policy of your education comes at the expense of taking away the opportunity to get education from other minority groups, this is where I draw the line and tell you this policy is not worth fighting for. Given the fact that resources are limited, given the fact that there are only so many students which public universities can commit to, we think this quota comes at the expense of other quotas that would involve aborigines, that would involve the disabled, that would involve the poor, that would also involve women. We think currently, given the fact that men usually are in a position of advantage, we don't think that it's necessary that we forward them this quota.
all right, so Amira Moore give her definitions of woman towards minority group. Dia masukkan, as a woman in the minority group in the working environment or, educations. So that's how, as a leader oppositions, okay, you need to set, even though, from the government side, men and women, okay, only they're looking into only two genders, the inequalities between two genders. But if you want to be a good leader oppositions, you have to diversify the issues. Okay, kalau government side dia nak tengok pada dua group saja, which are men and women, you as a leader opposition, you have to think, okay, what are the things that we need to look into, right? So Amira Moore defined that minority group, like she said just now, is disabled, Aboriginal, and women. Nampak tak? Okay, so that's how you give a good, opening speech for leader opposition.
In my speech, I'll be talking about two things. Number one, when exactly do we implement quotas? Because I think this was something that Prime Minister missed out on. And secondly, why this particular policy is harmful. My responses towards her case will be included in these questions. So first off, when...
Alright, nampak tak? She actually, in the earliest part, she actually, agree with the motions. Okay, she actually agrees with the motions. Nampak tak? The first thing that she argues is that the government did not provide the quota. Dia just cakap je, oh, we need to educate men about women's punya equality. That's it. But you don't have the quota. Okay, quota dekat working environment berapa? Education field berapa? So you as a law students, I think you know. Okay? That's how you see. You give a different perspective. Okay? If you cannot have a good argument, you can agree. But again, like I said, you should at least highlight the proposals of the government that is, that can worsen the situation. Okay? Memang betul government tu dia cakap there is inequality. In order to ada because inequality tu sebab lelaki tu tak educate about women's equality. But then Amira Mo said about quota.
To implement quotas. We think that quotas aren't just given out of the fact that we think education is important, therefore we give quotas. It's also about understanding who currently has less of an access towards education. When do we implement quotas? It's firstly to correct past injustices towards the opportunities of education that have affected our ability to choose and our ability to access the opportunity. That's why we give quotas to the disabled. That's why in certain countries we give the quotas to like African Americans, the Aborigines, and if it's gender, it's probably to women. Men are placed at a higher pedestal. Men usually have the support of their families. That's why it's very unfortunate when you see families that get disappointed when their firstborn is a female rather than a male. And then you see like how usually they end up like, sorry. So like even when you have men in the picture, the fact that they generally get more access to education, their families are more willing to pay more because they feel that your job is to go out and be the breadwinner in comparison to some families that think that the job of a woman is to stay home and be a baby making machine. We don't think that's necessarily true. Or even if a woman was given the opportunity to go ahead and endure herself in higher education, it's limited. They tell you, don't be an engineer, don't be an astronaut, choose something more feminine, be a teacher, be a doctor. We think that these are certain stereotypes that exist towards women, proving to you that men currently have more of an advantage when it comes to accessing education. So the question then becomes, why are there less men in the public universities? We think it's because of the choice that they necessarily make for themselves, despite knowing the fact that they have these advantages and these opportunities. So we don't think that it is our burden to bear the cost of the choice of men who already acknowledge the advantages that they have, first to further sacrifice other individuals who don't have the opportunity or the luxury choice that men usually do. I promise you I'm not man-hating, right? It's just a general fact that usually men have more of an access towards this opportunity, given the fact that society does include a lot of individuals who unfortunately don't understand the importance of why women should be treated equally. No. Your quota comes at the expense of other quotas as well. Given that, we think that it's more important that we focus on the quotas for these women and for the minority groups because they don't have the support. They have like societal perception up against their odds where they are told family is more important than education, or even if education is something for you, it's generally just limited, right? We think that even if women don't materialize or other of these minority groups don't materialize their university degree into jobs, we think that it's important we still give them these quotas so that we don't focus on these quotas, so that they have an option in the future, that they have a safety net to fall back on, that it gives you a higher purpose, that your purpose of like growing into adulthood isn't just about your family. It's giving them the sense of respect that usually other individuals aren't willing to give them. Your policy actually makes it more like, creates a more sexist environment. And I'll tell you why after this question.
Ma'am, most of the advantages that you talk about, all the things that men have, are created by society and perpetuated by that. How do you change that if you refuse to educate men about the differences, about equality and why there are no differences between genders?
Okay, I think first off, you can educate about gender equality without giving this quota. It makes no sense at all, right, for you to say it. How do we make men understand that they're not entitled to advantages and opportunities? But suddenly say, let's just give it to them, right? Let's just hand these quotas and tell them, even if you have less of an incentive to go to university, or even if you make the ultimate choice to not go to university despite the advantages that you have, we're still going to give you a quota, right? Like, I think this entrenches this sexist notion. Because if anything, what this does and why this is harmful is because it creates a self-entitled environment for these men. That even if you don't have hope, and even if you're disincentivized, and even if it comes at the expense of other minority groups who currently have less of access towards these opportunities, we're still willing to make that sacrifice for you. Because we think that development cannot happen without you. When in truth, ladies and gentlemen, even when currently men already have the exposure in the working force, whether it's in hard labor or even in the service industry, and they still interact with women, yet we still see some sexist men existing. We don't think the conclusion or the solution to the situation is for us to translate into making more quotas to take away more opportunities for women, because part of the way in which we fight sexism is also to give opportunities to women to tell individuals that other minority groups can be as good at education as men. Thank you.
See, that is a good debate. Start, from the Prime Minister as leader oppositions. That is a very good start. All right, meaning that both establish a very good arguments. Okay, first, the prime ministers, okay, give the first strong arguments looking into, the government should, wants to educate men about the inequality happen around the, education field, working field, but Amira more agrees that the government actually needs to educate, but don't just educate men, all right? Because men is already having advantage. We should educate these, women and minority groups as well. We need to provide a quota. So when you establish a good debate motions, this is how. Uh, so they're very great. I think when I watch them debating, it's like it's literally, I think you can watch videos in the YouTube from MIDP as well. So I also post a video of Said Sadiq for he was in IIUM at that time, right, as a debater as well, right? Okay, so next one. So we go back again to these questions. All right. What is debating? Why do we debate? All right. What can we get from debating? All right. So the question is not just provide solutions and answers. Of course, that is the first thing that you are going to look into. We want to find solutions. But when you debate, you read a lot. You don't just read about Malaysians issues. You look into world issues and how are we going to adapt that solutions to our country. All right, you become more critical about things that you see. You become more critical about things that you want to explain. You become more critical. All right, your critical thinking is become more I think sharper, right? So it's not just for me you know it's not just giving solutions, and then you end up just give solutions during your debate, but you don't think what is behind the behind meaning of debate, right? Actually, you become more and more a critical person. You widen your perspective. You diversify your perspective. You don't just look into one perspective. You look into different perspective. That's why we debate. And what can we get from debating? These are the things that we can get from debating. All right. It's not just, oh, we won, we got a trophy, oh, dapat pergi, travel overseas. If you join UTMara, of course you are going to the overseas countries to debate, right? You're going to UK if you're lucky, right? I think at that time, before COVID, they flew out to India, Oxford, Cambridge, right? UiTM, send them outside from Malaysia to compete, and you can actually interact, make a connection with other students in the other universities. Okay, all right. Okay, so those are the things that you can get from debating. Okay, so this is our seniors, our super seniors that they actually won the main prize trophy for the Cambridge Intervarsity Debating Competition in 2015, right? The University of Cambridge. I don't know whether you know about this. Anyone knows about this? Can raise up the hands. Think law students. Boleh lah, siapa tahu? Pernah menang ni budak UiTM. Both of them from Asasi Law. Alright, Mifzal and Jasmine Ho. So you might be one of them later. We don't know. Right, if you're joining, if you get into law degree later on, you can meet them. They are the coaches. They are the coaches of UTMara. All right.
British parliamentary format, so it's supposed to replicate the British Parliament.
There has been no Malaysian team who have ever won this tournament, no Asian team that have ever won this tournament before. Discipline is really, really important. We can never waste any time. Every moment is precious. So sometimes in between debating tournaments, we'll have to bring notes, we'll have to study. We must do that all the time. Sometimes in between classes, we'll have to read for debates as well.
We read maybe 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. I think that bit by bit approach kind of slowly, incrementally makes you know more about the world. And I think being a more worldly person, knowing more about the world, I don't think just makes you a better debater, but also makes you a better student, makes you a better person, be more concerned about the world.
All right. Okay, so I hope you already know your super seniors are actually were actually the winners of Cambridge Intervarsity competitions, and you might be one of the winners as well. We don't know, right? If you're going to your degree later on, inshallah. Okay, and you're going to meet them as the coaches for UT Bara. They're still there, right? So lastly will be the art of debating. I don't think we have time. All right, so this is the side talk about, the art of debating. What actually, what actually you get. The root of debating is not just, argue about something, Actually, when we debate, we want to see the different solutions, the different perspective, right? We don't want to win, actually. All right, of course, you are going to competition, you want to get trophy, you want to get medal, but it doesn't just stop there, right? So what is the use of debating? So I think later on I'll share you the slides once I corrected a few things here, and then I'll share you the slides, and then later on you can I think you can have a look later. Side studies, the art of debating. So yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you so much for listening. I think 342 participants is quite a lot for today's talk. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I know all of you are already in the mood of Hari Raya, and I'm wearing baju Melayu today because of we're having a photo shoot of Hari Raya in APB Kuala Pilah. Thank you so much, everyone. So I hope you get something from my my talk here. It's just a brief informations of debate 101 Asian Parliamentary. All right. If you have any questions, you can unmute your microphone, or you can type in the chat box if you have any questions. All right. So I'll pass back to you, Sri. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Yadid Ashrai. All right, so now I open the session for question and answer session with the students if they have any questions to you. All right, so students, do raise your hand, all right, if you would like. I mean, you can just unmute your mic. All right, Mr. Yadid, I think there's one student here, Azalia.
Oh, Azalia. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think she has a
Let me
question.
see. All right. As someone who has little to no experience in debating, is there any skill that we should learn of or sharpen, as in what is the important aspect we should focus on? Okay, Azalia. Actually, I was not into debating as well when I was in Asasi. All right. When I was in school, I was a very quiet person. And I didn't have any experience when I came to Asasi UiTM. I was in Kuantan, I was in Asasi Kuantan. And then in Asasi Kuantan, there are two faculties, which is a Faculty of Education and Faculty of Law. And I was lucky enough to mix around with the law students at that time. And I started to, attend their training actually, and then look into how their debates and whatnot. And when I mix around with the law students, they have a different ways of doing it. All right, how they can sharpen. Some people, they read, but they are afraid to speak up. But of course, you need to do a lot of trainings. When some people, they like to listen to other people's perspective. All right, they listen to the debates, arguments during the training sessions, and then they can think, oh, this is which one is better, which one is the right way of doing things. So that's how you can sharpen your mind actually. Of course, the best thing to sharpen your mind, or to sharpen your skills and whatnot, is by reading actually. All right, reading not just in Malaysia context, but you are looking into international, outside from Malaysia context, where actually those are the things, what we call it, acts, okay, akta ataupun perkara-perkara yang should be done in Malaysia can be done in Malaysia, contohnya. Okay, benda-benda macam tu. Alright, it's not just you look into, oh, kat Malaysia orang buat macam ni. No, you have to go beyond our context or our area. Okay, and that's how you can sharpen your mind. Okay, I hope that's answer your questions, Azalia. Reading. I think reading is important for everyone. Previously, okay. I just need to answer that, Azalia. Previously, we only have we don't have exposure of social medias actually. Twitter, your generations, I think you get informations very fast, within a minute you can get the informations. You can just update your Twitter, and then a lot of information outside from Malaysia you can know. All right, so easy for you, I think, nowadays. Back then we have to cari surat khabar online, and then we have to go through. But you guys, bila you see something happen in Twitter, you can actually, apa benda ni? Then you Google it up. Nampak tak? You don't just simply end that at the Twitter's statement. Alright, you can actually Google about it. Alright, so next question we have Amirul K19. Wow, K19. Kolej 19 Cover. Alright, is there time limit for point of informations? Yes. You cannot exceed more than 30 seconds. 1 minute is too long. 30 seconds. Alright. So when you want to give POI, you need to also prepare very well when you give your POI. Jangan macam alright, there is a stuttering or whatnot. Alright, so when you want to give POI, meaning that you are prepared with the questions. You know that this is the questions that you want to ask for the speakers. That's why I say when you're preparing for your debate, you actually identify what is the potential loop from the other side. Kekurangan, the weakness tu. Kita bukan nak cari our strength je tau. We don't want to look for our strength je. We actually want to look their weakness as well. And we also, from our side, we also have to identify our weakness so that we can give the rebuttals. That is the important one. Okay? Alright, now, can the rebuttal to the PM by the LO be the same rebuttal used by the LO? Okay, wait. Can the rebuttal to the PM by the LO be the same rebuttal by yes, can. If that's why I said, you can emphasize the issues, the weakness of that government side, meaning that the prime ministers did not answer your rebuttal. You can emphasize that, highlight the issues. So during the POI, you akan cakap macam ni. You can say that, okay, the prime minister still not answering my POI just now. So from the same rebuttal given by my LO just now, what is it? Okay, yes, you can give the same rebuttal. And then if the prime minister or deputy prime minister did not answer the rebuttals, or give back the rebuttals, then you can highlight that issues in your reply speech. Okay, who's that answer? Very good question, Musaid. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I think we do have from Madam Jusliza. Madam,
Just is mana?
all right. The coordinator for law, Madam.
Takutnya.
Right,
Just sorry. Madam Jessica, I'm so sorry.
it's okay. Assalamualaikum, Yadid.
Yeah.
I'm not only the KPP for law here, but I'm also the advisor for the English Debate Club.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
I was thinking of
Nice
like,
to meet you.
nice to meet you too. Can we like have a friendly debate tournament? Probably next semester. Would you be interested in that?
Inshallah. I invited my students from debate club to actually join the meeting today.
I
So I
see.
hope everyone's students from Pila, everyone raise up their hands. Are you agree on having a friendly debate with Asasi students? I think we can plan,
Yeah,
Madam Juziza.
that
See,
would be great.
Farah Atila just gave the thumbs up. Nadia also gives the thumbs up. Okay,
It's
inshallah.
an excuse to get out of Pusat Asasi once in a while, or you guys can come here.
Yeah, sure. I would love to, Madam Juziza. Thank you so much. We'll plan it. We will plan.
We'll be
Inshallah.
in touch. We'll be in touch,
We'll be in
inshallah.
touch. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Is there okay? So I don't think we have any questions, Sri. So yeah.
Right, Yadid. Thank you so much for today's session, Yadid. All right. Oh, sorry,
So.
Mr. Yadid. However, students, all right, for ELC 092, okay, I would want you to still follow what your lecturers have briefed on you regarding on the assessment. All right. I think if you notice, there are a few things that they're up for changes. All right. So please adhere to what your lecturers have briefed you on. All right. Okay. So now, since Mr. Yadi is in his baju raya, all right, and in the mode of raya, so why not all of us, okay, switch on their camera, okay, for us to take a photo, a group photo. All right. So please do switch it on.
Are you guys wearing baju Melayu today?
Oh, it's just you, I guess. But tak apa, semangat raya.
Yeah.
Okay, students, are you there?
They're like wearing their baju Melayu as well.
Taking their time.
Yeah.
And see, we'll wait a bit.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, everyone. Thank you. I hope you guys did get something from the talk just now.
Okay. I do grid. Oh yeah, grid is better. Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to switch on their camera?
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Hopefully, I can see you guys in Pusat Asasi later on for a friendly match debate competition, inshallah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so give a big smile, everyone. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. I need to do smaller stack. So bad at this. Hold on. Yeah. All right. One more. Okay. And 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. Allah. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Jusniza. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Madam Juice, for attending. All right. And for all the
Thank you,
lecturers out
everybody.
here as
Thank you,
well.
Adik.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, our guest speaker. So I guess there will be more, inshallah, in future. We'll be calling you. Thank you again, Edith. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye bye. Thank you, sweet. Thank you.